Good morning, students. It is the third video of the lesson, the address, in which I will explain each and every aspect of the lesson that have already been narrated, but still you need something. So here you wait and know. This is about the author By-Amiya, born on 31 March 1920. She lived for 95 years and really she was one of the journalists in Holland and wrote in Dutch. This story is a moving short story of By-Amiya during World War II Germany invades Holland. It was the beginning. A woman with her daughter has to flee from her home. The mother dies. Long after the war, the daughter comes back to her town. She meets the woman with whom her mother had left all her belongings. The woman even refuses to recognize her. Nor does she show any kind of intention of returning the things she has in her possession. She gives up the idea of getting them back again. She decides to have all of them behind. She resolves to forget the address where those belongings lie unceremoniously in unpleasant surroundings. Mrs. S.'s daughter visits number 46 Marconi Street. The narrator was at number 46 Marconi Street. She was the daughter of Mrs. S. She pressed the bell. A woman opened the door. She looked at the newcomer searching. She was Mrs. Darling. The narrator introduced herself. The woman's face showed absolutely no sign of recognition, rather a surprise. She kept staring at her in silence. The girl had once seen the woman years ago. She realized that perhaps she had rung the wrong bell, but very soon her doubt was set to reset. The woman was wearing her mother's green knitted cardigan, which had these very old memories associated with. She was at the right place. She was sure that she had not been mistaken. When she comes to the door, she just opens the door half so that her knitted cardigan could not be seen. But the narrator's perceptive eyes, recognitive eyes, really realized that it was her mother's cardigan. The woman refuses to recognize the girl. The girl asked the woman if she still knew her. Mrs. Darling replied that she did not. She stood there, dumbfounded. The narrator then told her that she was the daughter of Mrs. S. The woman asked, "Have you come back?" It was clear that she was not pleased to see the girl again. The girl replied that she was the only one who survived and came back. Oh. The woman expressed regret that she could not do anything for her. The narrator told her that she had come especially for her. By train, she wanted to talk to her for a moment. But the lady showed her helplessness. She was not ready to entertain the girl. She could come at another time. The narrator got lost in old memories. She thought about her mother. She had given her the address of Mrs. Darling years ago. Holland was war-stricken. It had been in the first half of the war. She remembered how she came home for a few days. She noticed that various things in the house were missing. Her mother then told her about Mrs. Darling. She had never heard of her before. Clearly, Mrs. Darling must have been an old acquaintance of her mother. Suddenly, Mrs. Darling started coming regularly to their house, and so it was one of the events that really confronted her with the ideas. Mrs. Darling frequently visited the narrator's mother's house. Every time she visited, she took something with her. One day she took all the silverware, then she took away all the antique plates hung on the wall. Mrs. S. told her daughter that Mrs. Darling wanted to save all her articles. It was war time. If they had to leave the place, they would lose everything. The daughter wanted to know if there was a written agreement that Mrs. Darling would return all the articles safely. The girl could not trust anyone so blindly. Mrs. S. replied that it was not necessary. Mrs. S. was thankful to Mrs. Darling for what she was doing for her all that time. All that could happen years ago. The narrator's first visit was not rewarding. She paid a second visit to see Mrs. Darling. This time she found her 15-year-old girl. That was her daughter. In the house, Mrs. Darling was not there. She decided to wait for Mrs. Darling. The narrator found herself in the midst of things. Once they belonged to her mother, she wanted to see them again. All those things were taken away by Mrs. Darling and kept here in her house. She was pained to note that they were arranged tastelessly. The ugly furniture and the muggy smell upset her. The girl brought tea for her. Then she opened a box and took some spoons out of it. The narrator also looked at the antique plates. She knew that all the cutlery, knives, forks, and spoons were of silver. Her mother had told her about them when she was alive, but now she is dead. There are some word meanings. Picked up, lifted, rack, frame of wooden bars used for holding things, case box, initially in the beginning. Liberation, freedom, stored, that has been preserved. Stuffed things, confront, faced with, connection, relation, and when uselessly, endured, tolerated. Gradually, slowly, unthreatened, without any threat or fear, view sight, used to habitual acts to take place, glancing, looking at possessions, belongings, Hanukkah, a Jewish festival of lights, conversion, heavy, living room, sitting room, past her, went in front of her, mark, sign. Oppressed, troubled, midst, among, muggy, smell of dampness, pewter plate, a plate made of zinc, seat, lent, given to someone, something, money or something, pulled, dragged, instantly, very soon, at once, fleetingly, lasting for a moment, and one could resist in the sea. Knitted, made through knitting needles. Cardigan, a knitted woolen jacket. What is this cardigan? A knitted woolen jacket. Pale, dim, musty, smelling unpleasant, and immersed, that is ruse. In this way, children, I told you all about this relation very clearly. I hope that you must understand and take advantage of this video. Thank you, children. Thank you.